Order this meeting of the Board of County Commissioners for Tuesday, May 10th. This morning, we're happy to have Pastor Randy Morris of Gulf Coast Church of Largo for our invocation. If you'll come forward, provide our invocation. Following that, Commissioner Flowers will lead us in the pledge. Please rise.
Amen.
Father, we thank you for your incredible love, your amazing grace expressed through the Lord Jesus, God, and your abiding presence through the communion of the Holy Spirit. And God, today we invite you and we invoke your presence, God, upon this meeting of our commissioners. We confess, and I confess boldly, Lord, that we need you, and we must have you in our lives and in our homes, our families, our communities, and all across this county. From the Skyway, Lord, to the Lake Tarpon, Lord, from the Gulf to the Bay, may your name be honored and glorified through the decisions made by these commissioners. I pray for them today, Lord, personally. I pray for them and their families and all that concerns them, that you would lead them into peace, God, and that, Lord, they would lead us also as residents here of Pinellas County to peace through righteousness. God, we ask all this in the name of the one who taught us to pray, our Father, who is in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for being here, Pastor. We appreciate it. We have some presentations and awards. Before we do that, pursuant to our policy, we'd like to, Commissioner Seal requests participation by Zoom today due to medical concerns. If I could have a motion for that or discussion.
Move approval. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Flowers, second by Commissioner Long for participation by Zoom for Commissioner Seal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Thank you very much. She'll be joining us in a few.
Thank you.
Come down for presentations. Good morning again. We have some important issues and presentations this morning. And our first one, we'd like to recognize Mental Health Awareness Month. And I'd like to invite Denise Burholm, Executive Director of the National Alliance of Mental Illness, Pinellas, and Dr. Brittany Peters, the Board President, join me at the podium. If you come around here. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning.
Mental health is a state of well-being and a part of overall health. 1 in 5 adults experience mental health conditions in any given year. 1 in 25 adults live with serious mental illness such as major depression, bipolar disorder, or schizophrenia. Approximately 1/2 of chronic mental illnesses begin by the age of 14, and 3/4 begin by age 24. Early identification and treatment can make a profound difference in successful management of mental illness and its recovery. Public education and civic activities can encourage mental health awareness and help build better lives for the millions of Americans and their families affected by mental illness. That's why we're here this morning. That's why it's so important. Therefore, today, be it proclaimed by the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners that May 2022 be recognized as Mental Health Awareness Month to increase public understanding of the importance of mental health and to promote identification and treatment of those illnesses. And I'd like to give you the microphone, a chance to say a few words.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the Board of County Commissioners for recognizing Mental Health Awareness Month. We are very honored to be presented with the Mental Health Awareness Proclamation. Mental health plays a pivotal role in every individual's daily life. 1 out of 5 individuals will be diagnosed with a mental health condition. And for many, this could be devastating, not only for themselves, but for their families. That is why it is important to continue the fight for better access for mental health care. NAMI Pinellas strives to have access to high-quality mental health resources and training, and to help create an atmosphere in which it's okay to work on your overall mental wellness. Mental health has been elevated in the national conversation during the pandemic, largely due to the ongoing pandemic. We need to ensure we are properly prepared and appropriately structured for the next phase of NAMI's evolution to continue showing up for the growing communities that we serve. One of the ways we are doing this is by offering our peer specialist training. Peer specialists promote a sense of community among those in recovery, and research has shown that peer support facilitates recovery while reducing healthcare costs. Together, we can all work to increase our awareness and be stigma-free for the individuals needing mental health care. We can do this by continuing our efforts by providing support, education, and public awareness and advocacy. We take care of our bodies. It's okay to take care of our minds. On behalf of the board, staff, and volunteers, and the thousands of people coming to NAMI Pinellas for mental health support, we thank you again for recognizing Mental Health Awareness Month. Thank you so much.
We used to all get behind and be in the pictures. I'm not sure why we don't anymore.
I used to see that.
It's mine here in the picture. Just in case, smile. Good to see you. We usually need a podium so that he can see what he's reading. Yeah, right.
Next, our proclamation for Emergency Medical Services Week. And I'd like to invite Chief Scott Sanford from the Palm Harbor Fire Rescue and Lieutenant Ashley White to join us at the podium. National EMS Week is an opportunity for all of us to reflect on the dedicated efforts of our EMS system personnel who provide compassionate quality care and service to our community every single day. The high skill level and professionalism of our EMS dispatchers, EMTs, and paramedics have enabled our system to attain clinical excellence. And the long-standing partnerships with our fire rescue agencies for paramedic first response, the countywide paramedic ambulance service, and our hospitals allow emergency medical services to be provided seamlessly. Our EMS providers made significant contributions and immeasurable sacrifices during our local response to the world corona pandemic. They responded with compassionate care to the sick, and they vaccinated tens and thousands of citizens. National EMS Weeks brings our community and EMS providers together to celebrate our accomplishments and rededicate ourselves to our mission. That's why we proclaim it the week of May 15th by the Board of County Commissioners to be recognized as Emergency Medical Services Week. Yeah, you can applaud that. And Chief Sanford and Lieutenant White will accept the proclamation. I'll give them a microphone, but Lieutenant, it's so wonderful to see you here after everything last September. You're the walking embodiment of answered prayer, so we're happy to have you here this morning.
Thank you very much.
It's an honor and a privilege to be here today
Seen him in the light.
to accept this proclamation on behalf of Pinellas County Fire and EMS. The last couple of years have been challenging for all of us. I encourage each of you to keep moving forward and take care of each other. Thank you.
Thank you. I will be brief, but as a someone who's part of the system and we routinely respond to people, it was quite humbling to actually be on the receiving end of that help on the evening of September 22nd. And as a first responder, I just want to thank all of the board for their support as the EMS advisory, EMS authority. It is truly impressive to see our system in action. We did an after-action report, and Our dispatchers did a phenomenal job. The number of people that they reached out to, Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, Sunstar, Highway Patrol, neighboring fire departments, everybody responded flawlessly. And as the authority, you guys should be very proud of your system. They did a great job. Thank you. Thank you. I'll go to one side. You can stay on this side. I won't make your house. I'll go on the other side.
We will now recognize the EMS Professionals of the Year award recipients. And first, I'd like to acknowledge that the Pinellas Federal Credit Union has supported these professional awards for 32 straight years since the first awards were given in 1990. Yariel Alvarez, the branch manager, and Lauren Sutton, the compliance specialist, are here to help us present the awards and give a gift to each award recipient. If they would join me up here. First, we will play a video that will introduce these emergency medical professionals and highlight their award-winning efforts. If you play the video.
Members of Pinellas County's Emergency Medical Services team save lives every day.
Okay, then we're going to start chest compressions, okay? Listen carefully to make sure we do them correctly.
This year, 3 individuals stand out as 2022's Emergency Medical Services Professionals of the Year. Consistently going above and beyond the call of duty is why Brian Peterson is EMT of the Year. The 18-year veteran is always ready to jump into action, even when off duty. Brian proved this when he stopped to investigate smoke while taking his daughter home from school.
After we left the car line, she said that she saw smoke. And she was just really fascinated by it and wanted to go see the smoke. Then I noticed there was smoke coming out of the eaves of the house and that the backside was fully involved and it had made its way to the interior. So I decided to start banging on the door and the windows, trying to get to whoever owned the car that was parked in the driveway. And I saw a man come down the stairs and go completely out, fall all the way down and hit the ground right at the seat of the fire.
Thinking only of his training, he broke a glass window to enter the home and rescue the man, injuring himself in the process.
I broke the window and went in and dragged the man out, got him out into the fresh air.
Ever humble, he credits his daughter for saving life that day.
I think I instilled into her the importance of helping people when she was there that day and so persistent about it. I think she knew she was an important part of it afterwards.
Sarah Walsh's calm, confident, and caring demeanor in emergency situations is why she has been named Emergency Medical Dispatcher of the Year.
911, this is Sarah. What is the address of the emergency?
Earlier this year, a daughter found her mother in cardiac arrest. Sarah used her 6 years of experience to keep her calm and walk her through CPR until paramedics arrived.
I was able to, with multiple different techniques, calm her down and be able to get the mother help, essentially.
In that case, we're going to start CPR. I'm going to tell you how to do it. Lay her flat on her back on the ground and remove anything from under her head.
Sarah values the opportunity to make a difference through her job.
It's a very rewarding job in the end.
His dedication to quality patient care and willingness to help those around him is why Robert Crayer is Paramedic of the Year. Last year, his lieutenant was struck by a speeding car while their squad was working a 2-vehicle accident. Robert's skills were put to the test when she became one of his patients.
Next thing I knew, I was kneeling down next to Lieutenant White, looking her in the face. And I was scared looking at her, and then kind of started talking to her, realized, okay, she's awake. Started taking off her gear and assessing her injuries. Realized that she had some broken bones. We got her on the backboard with a couple other firefighters and the Sunstar crew, called a trauma alert, and we transported emergency to Bayfront Hospital.
After 6 years on the job, Robert recognizes the importance of training and the impact it has on situations like this.
I remember there was a point in the call where I felt like I was getting amped and I had to take a deep breath and, okay, let's just go systematically down my treatment pathways and my assessment pathways, and that's how we got it done.
The Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners congratulates Brian Peterson, Sarah Walsh, and Robert Crayer, the 2022 EMS Professionals of the Year. And on behalf of the county, thank you to all of our emergency professionals for your service.
We definitely have heroes among us. First, I'd like to invite Brian Peterson to join us up here. And you can bring your daughter if you like. If she'd like to come. On behalf of the citizens of Pinellas County and the EMS system, we award you Emergency Medical Technician of the Year. I'd like to have you say a few words with us.
I'm not very good at words. That's why I became a firefighter, so I wouldn't have to use too many. But I'd like to especially thank everybody that showed up today for taking time away from their family and friends to come be with us and accept this award.
Very good. Sarah Walsh, would you join us? On behalf of the citizens of Pinellas County and the EMS system, we award you 2022 Emergency Medical Dispatcher of the Year. Congratulations.
Just want to say thank you for management and my coworkers to support me throughout my journey.
Nice, thank you. And Robert Crayer, Palm Harbor Fire Rescue. On behalf of the citizens of Pinellas County and the EMS system, we award you 2022 Paramedic of the Year. Congratulations.
Thank you for everybody that came out today. Really appreciate it. It's especially nice to have my wife and my dad here, and it's really nice to have my Lieutenant Ashley White also here today as well.
Yeah, amen to that.
Absolutely. And we want to thank you all for your sponsorship and give you the opportunity to say a few words.
On behalf of Pinellas Federal Credit Union, we'd like to say thank you all for your services and congratulations to the winners.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your support.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Flowers.
Before the NAMI representatives leave or the EMS persons, I just wanted to say for NAMI, I was first introduced to your organization by Robin when she served on the Pinellas County School Board. And I was invited to a number of your events at the Largo Park before COVID. And I so enjoyed myself getting to meet the families, hear the testimonies, and then for the students that were participating, serving as mentors and as persons who tried to make sure that their fellow students knew that there was somebody they could always confide in if they needed to. So I just wanted to share that with you because I have always enjoyed hearing all of the wonderful things that you guys are doing. So thank you. And to all of our first responders, our EMS, our persons that work in the 911 center. I've had to call the 911 center, and yes, they are so calm. And, you know, you're like on level 10, they're on level 0, bringing you down. So thank you all so very much for the work you have done. The last 2 years have not been gracious to you, you know, but you all persevered. You provided professionalism, courtesy, a top-notch service. So thank you so much for everything that you do. I didn't want you to leave without me having a chance to share that with you. Thank you all.
Before you leave, Commissioner Eggers made note that not everyone knows the history of what happened in September with Lieutenant White, and so
She's hiding.
wanted to remind folks that she was injured while rendering care and very serious injuries, and went through multiple surgeries to get to the point where she is today. And just the embodiment of the sacrifice that our first responders make and put themselves on the line for us every single day. And again, when I saw your name listed as being here today, we're just so excited that you're going to be here today. So thank you for all that you do. Congratulations. Thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful day. We appreciate it. All right, next on our agenda, item number 3, partner presentation. If you thought that was exciting, wait, we have audit results. I'd like to invite our clerk of the court, Ken Burke, to come forward with presentation, and Mr. John Weber of Crow LLP.
And you're right, it's not nearly as compelling as what we just saw.
If it's good, we did it. If it's not good, we didn't do it.
But it is extremely important.
Absolutely.
I'll take this from a philosophical viewpoint to start out with, which usually you don't get from accountants. But if you think about it, the services that we provide as government on the local basis, on a county level, is pretty uniform throughout the world. Even in communist countries such as China, they still do public safety, they do building permits, they do recreation, all the things that we do as government. But one thing they don't do is have transparency in their finances. And in our government, we have tremendous transparency in our finances. And that's a big separation between those types of governments and the governments we have here, such as in Pinellas County. And I think that's something we can be very proud of. And we publish reports, and I brought some props with me today, not nearly as exciting as something the EMS would be able to produce, but equally as important. We put together our annual financial statement, which is available online for every citizen to take a look at and to read if they wish to see about every cent spent in Pinellas County and how it's accounted for. Also, we have a soft opening for our Spending in the Sunshine website, which just went back online as of yesterday. And I hope in the next few months, and we're working out the kinks to make sure that it's all perfect, I can give another presentation on that, because that's the most transparent way for citizens to see about every cent spent and look to see how much is spent with each vendor, how much is spent from each department. They could do a search of employees. If they want to see employees who make between $40,000 and $50,000, they can put those parameters in there, and they'll see every name of those employees, which departments they work for, what their year-to-date salary, and what their annual salaries are. That includes for the Board of County Commission and all your departments, and for the clerk's office. That's fully transparent. Again, not something you see in most governments, even in this country or in the state, that we are extra transparent here in Pinellas County. So we put together this annual financial report, which is a requirement of the state, and it has been submitted on a timely basis. We also put our annual financial report, which is a different report, which we send to GFOA for the Certificate of Excellence. And for 40 years, we received that Certificate of Excellence from GFOA for Pinellas County. And that certificate has much more meaning than just a piece of paper. That certificate goes into our bond ratings. That's what they're looking at. They're looking at our financial report to determine the interest rate we're going to be charged on our debt. And having a few basis points difference in debt amounts to thousands and thousands of dollars of savings for Pinellas County residents. And so we take all that very seriously. And then we put together what's considered a citizen's guide to financial reporting. And this is a snapshot. Instead of reading this big thing here, we put it into a snapshot format, and you have this. I will make the offer to all of you. Let us know how many copies of this you would like. When you go to speak with citizen groups, bring them with you. We'll get more printed if you need additional ones, but if you could just contact me and send me an email with the number you would like, we'll get the number printed according to how many you're requesting. So we're not going to print them and then distribute. We're going to print them based on the demand that you set for us. So let us know how many copies you would like of this, the Citizen's Guide for Reporting. Let me introduce, and before John, Jeanette Phillips is, of course, our Chief Deputy over Finance and leads the team that does all the financial reporting for us. We also have Andrew Laughlin. Andrew, stand up and be recognized. I want to thank them for their great work, but all the staff for the Finance Division. Every invoice we receive, we look to see, is there a public purpose for that invoice? And is the proper budgeting fit for it, and all the authorizations so that we can disperse those monies. We take it very seriously. This is a great partnership in our responsibilities. Barry Burton, as county administrator, according to our charter, is the budget officer for the county, and I'm the chief financial officer of the county. We work together with the budget process and with the finance process to make sure that everything is done appropriately. So that's an important responsibility, and I enjoy working with Barry. I think we enjoy a very good working relationship. When there are issues, we discuss them and we resolve them, and that's the way it should be. The investments have been a challenge this past year. Obviously, the rate of return is very low. Also because of the ARPA funding, which is the American Rescue Plan funding, and the CARES funding, the funds aren't as long-term as we usually have them. And so it's been a challenge even to keep our investment policy guidelines of 60% into government equities, but we've managed to do that. We have approximately $1.6 billion under investment right now. The rate of return is low. It's going to continue to be low. Even though you see interest rates going up, the returns have not, on investments have not increased to match what the Fed is raising in the interest rates. I think you also can be proud of if you look on one of the documents I gave you, and you go to the debt portfolio, and he'll talk about this as far as the low debt per citizen, but I want to talk about the interest rates. We have been, again, very aggressive in working with Barry and his staff, and OMB, with the legal staff, in making sure that we refinance when we can to attain a lower interest rate. And you're seeing some of these, we have a $44 million issue where the interest rate's 1.44%. Anyone who knows anything about debt, that's darn good.
That's beautiful.
And we aggressively look at this. Now, we have some at 4%, okay, and that's still good, by the way. And the reason why we can't refinance is there's sometimes penalties or prepayment conditions which don't allow us to, but we're constantly looking at this to see, are we saving the best amount of money for the taxpayers of Pinellas County? All that debt, of course, is sewer debt. We have no other debt other than the sewer debt. It's been a challenge on our finance staff as far as the dispersing of the federal grants that have come in over the past couple years. It's been a tremendous challenge for Barry's staff, too, on that, whether it be the rental assistance or was the business grants that we made to folks a couple years back. It's very difficult when you're given the money, and the rules come out after, and you're supposed to disperse the money before the rules come out. And that's the way it's been. And so it's been a challenge. That's not something we as accountants like. We like rules and very close rules. So these things were coming out, the rules were coming out as we were dispersing money. I think we've done a very good job on that because the penalty for that is when afterwards there'll be an audit by the Auditor General of the United States. And if you dispersed any money improperly, you have to pay that money back. And so that's a potential liability for the county, and I feel very comfortable that we will not be in that position to have to pay any money back. Again, it's a close working relationship. It's the effort to get the money out to the people who need it as quickly as possible, but at the same time setting up the guidelines to make sure that we're not doing anything improperly. So the pressure's there, and I think we've done a good job on that. That's about all I have. I do want to, our audit, which is done by the outside firm of Crowe, and this has been the 9th year that we've worked with the Crowe firm on the audit. As part of this annual financial report, they only have a few pages in here. I think you have around 5 pages? A little more. A little bit more of what they put together, but basically it's the finance staff that puts this document together, then sends it to Crowe, and Crowe does their auditing responsibility. And the auditing responsibility is not just a few months thing. It lasts for a long period of time. Each of the various constitutional officers have their audits done by Crowe. We have our enterprise funds. Actually, governmental accounting I consider to be more complex than corporate accounting and private accounting because of the different entities that we have, the enterprise funds, the discrete units, the complexity of presenting these, which is not the usual way which accountants do as profit and loss and a balance sheet. And so it's more complex than that. And so we received a clean audit opinion, and that's the most important thing as far as our auditor is concerned. So I will introduce John Weber to take it from here, and be glad to answer any questions you have after his presentation. John?
Good morning, Mr. Weber.
Good morning. How is everybody today?
Good. Great.
So it's been 2 years since I've had the pleasure of being here, so it's wonderful to be back to present the audit results to you. And yes, it's not as exciting as everything you've already had this morning, and I don't have any proclamations or anything, but we certainly have good results to go over with you today. So I'm going to go a little bit over the audit results, and then some financial statement overview, and then some comparative data that I usually present to you every year. So our audit results, our auditor's opinions. The first one is our independent auditor's opinion on the annual comprehensive financial report, and that is an unmodified opinion, otherwise referred to as a clean audit opinion. That means that the financial statements presented in this 210-page document are reasonably stated in all material respects. The next report we issue is the auditor's report on internal control over compliance in accordance with government auditing standards. Here what we're doing is looking at the control structure over financial reporting to determine if we note any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in the internal control over the financial reporting. And pleased to let you know that we did not note any, so there are no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies presented in that report. Finally, on this slide is our independent auditor's report on compliance with federal and state grants. So you receive a lot of federal money and a lot of state money, and our job is to make sure that you comply with laws and regulations that the federal government and the state of Florida has with the spending of that money. And as Ken said, some of that money has been very difficult to work with as you've been receiving it. You receive the money, there's no guidance exactly on how you can spend it, no detailed guidance. That comes out well later, and even worse, the auditing rules for it comes out even after that. So it's been a challenging process the past couple of years, but certainly the county has handled it very well. And our report reflects that, as it is a unmodified or clean audit opinion, which means that for the federal and state grant funds that we audited, we did not note any non-compliance with laws or regulations. In addition, the internal control structure in place for the spending of that money We did not notice any material weaknesses, significant deficiencies. We had no findings, and we have no question costs. And question costs would be something that we did not think was spent appropriately, for which the federal government should seek reimbursement. So again, all clean, all good with that. Again, we do audit all these other constitutional officers, or all the constitutional officers, as well as some other separate audit reports, and they're all clean or unmodified opinions on those. Some examination reports, and here we're trying to determine if there's any non-compliance with basically the Florida statutes, and this is related to the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, investment of public funds, the E911 receipts and expenditures, and we did not note any non-compliance with that. We also do some agreed upon procedures work, and we had no exceptions related to that. So it's quite a few opinions we offer and reports we issue, and they're all clean opinions, so something to be very proud of. So instead of walking through 210 pages of this document with you, just some very, very high-level information here. So this first slide is representing the governmental activities, basically your balance sheet. So the county had about $3.4 billion related to governmental activities assets at year end. The liabilities were about $1.7 billion, and leaving a net position of about $1.8 billion. And the graph on the right-hand slide shows how that net position is broken out. So you have over $2 billion invested in capital assets. There's about $400 million that's restricted for specific purposes. This could be related to grants, and those are restricted for specific spending. And then the unrestricted net assets is a negative $676 million. And one says, well, why is our unrestricted net assets a negative figure? That figure includes liabilities for the net pension liability, as well as the other post-employment benefit liability. Very standard in all the governments we work with, and probably most across the state of Florida, that you're going to see that position in a negative. If you recall, years ago, we had to add the pension liabilities and the OPEB liabilities to the financial statements, so that's really what's causing that. Same graphs for the business type activities. So about $2.1 billion in assets, $296 million in liabilities, with almost $1.9 billion of a net position. Here on the right-hand side, you'll see actually though that the net position is a positive figure, which again, very typical when we're talking about the business type, the enterprise type activities. Just some quick financial results. The general fund had actual revenues of about $825 million, budgeted with $711 million. So that's quite a fair amount increase over budget. A lot of that had to do with CARES Act funds, as well as increased property values. So the increased property values going up does provide more actual tax revenue to the county. Actual expenditures were about $380 million to a budget of $436 million, so positive, again, variance of about $56 million. We also present a couple of the other major funds of the county. So the Sheriff's Fund had actual revenue about $22 million, budget of $21, so very close to budget there. Same on the expenditure side. The expenditures are actually about $4.7 million, positive again, so less than the budgeted figures. EMS, $139 million actual revenue. 136 budgets, so that was favorable again. And the expenditures for EMS were favorable as well by about $6 million. The major proprietary funds, here with the water system, sewer system, and the solid waste. This is just showing you the operating revenues. So this is what it takes to actually operate those systems. This would not include any sort of transfers in or out, interest payments, or any sort of interest income. So the water system had operating income of about $5.5 million for the year. Sewer system about $27 million, and solid waste $38 million. So all positive with those funds. All right, so some of the slides I'm going to present is some comparative information with other counties. It is 2020 information because all of the 2021 audit reports were not available when I was putting these together, so just please keep that in mind. and kind of some definitions here of where some of these numbers are coming from the other audit reports, because they are not all consistent in the way kind of funds are put together sometimes. So first off, we have the county government employees. So I do present Pinellas for 21 as well as 20. So you can see the number of actual employees there and look at, kind of compare that to other counties as well. But obviously some have different types of services they provide, so we've kind of noted that. Your residents per county employee stayed about the same, about 165. You know, compared to certainly some of the other counties are lower there. The general fund balance increased during the year, and you ended the year with about $254 million of general fund balance. On the right-hand slide, we do show that as the number of months expenditures you have available in fund balance, and you're at about 3.9. Prior year, you were at about 3.4. You're certainly within your policy, your fund balance policy. And I don't have the exact answer when you say what should our fund balance be, because it's really different for all governments, and a lot of it has to do with how diverse your revenue streams are and things of that nature. But I certainly think, you know, 3, 4, 5 months is certainly a good place to be. Your favorite slide, and I always end with your favorite slide. So this is the outstanding debt. So with all the other counties, it includes bonds, notes, loans, capital leases, and some have what's called interlocal agreements. So Pinellas ended the year at about $115.9 million of debt on the financial statements, a decrease from the prior year. And on the right-hand side, you can see your debt per capita is down to $120. So that is obviously very low and great to look at, especially when you're looking at some of the other counties and the debt per capita there. So I think that's certainly something to be proud of as a county with your debt. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions? Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the information. I think this is great. And Ken, congratulations to your group. You do amazing work. Always have such confidence in the work that your group puts out. And I think the residents of this county should feel very safe about their money, and also the transparency that Ken spoke about, I think, is right there at their fingertips if they want to get into it. And that's wonderful. Just maybe you could comment, it seems like at the end of the year, it was by design, the reserves were up a little bit, higher than what the, as you say, I can't say what norm is, but we talk about 15 to 17%, probably in that 23, 24% range for the general fund. Just a comment on that as moving forward, and then also maybe a comment as if there are any comparative thoughts in your mind on our sewer, water, sewer, and solid waste system as it compares to others. Just any thoughts on either one?
Sure. Well, on the latter, I mean, I do think your water, sewer, and solid waste systems are in pretty good financial condition. I do see some that really don't have the reserves that you have, which is what's driving a lot of the increased debt in some of the other counties or, you know, other governments across Florida. Certainly having those reserves is needed for the depreciation of the system and for repair and replacement of the system. You know, I think when I think about fund balance now, I think about, you know, over my 31 years now of doing this and a couple of recessions and things of that nature, I think fund balance is important right now. We really don't know where the economy is heading in the next year or two, right? You know, if we do enter another recession and revenues end up going down and decreasing, it's certainly important to have, you know, good reserves, especially in the general fund for those fund balances. So, I mean, I've seen times in my career where government's fund balance has gone into a negative position during a recession or a downturn in any economy.
Yeah, well, I think everybody from the state level all the way down to us weren't sure what was going to happen, so we put extra monies in reserves, and I think it was prudent, and I think it's a healthy spot for the state to be in. I think it's a healthy spot for the county to be in as well. Thank you for your work, and again, Ken and your team, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Flowers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much for a thorough report. Before the question, let me just give you an accolade. I'm working on my doctorate, and when I had my finance course, I actually used the documents from last year and got an A in the course. So I just want to let you all know that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, the CAFR that we put out, other students are using as a piece of their portion. So just accolade on that one. Yeah. So I know that you can't give us an exact number of months that we should have in reserves. We're, an island on an island here. And one serious hurricane or catastrophe could really cause some damage here. Will there be, or are you considering an opportunity to even provide us with some calculation on that in the future?
Yeah, so we really don't do that, and we really can't do that as auditors. That's really a management decision, and what to make, for that calculation. I certainly feel 3 to 6 months at least is a very good place to be. And it is interesting how you kind of mention hurricanes, because if a hurricane happens, you're paying for everything up front, and sometimes it takes years, to get any reimbursement back from the federal government for that money. So that's important as well.
And that leads me to a question I was going to ask.
Also, Commissioner Flowers, the Government Finance Officers Association, which issues the certificate, has a best practice on almost everything. And one of the best practices they have out there is on reserves. And like John mentioned, obviously, if you're a coastal county in a hurricane area, there's a different standard for that. So I'll be glad to distribute that best practice to y'all. It's a fairly basic. When I say basic, I mean it's not a lengthy document, so it's a good document for y'all to see.
Thank you. And while you're up there, just a question, complimenting question. Thank you so very much. This document is very, very good and easy to understand for any of our constituents. So I would love a few to drop off.
Just tell me
at
how
some of
many,
our
and we'll
centers.
get them to you. We
Thank
have a
you.
print shop.
But I do have just for my edification and anyone who may be watching, it's wonderful to see that we became the first community to earn a new rating with FEMA, providing homeowners a 35% discount on flood insurance. Is that information that we've been able to get out to the community so that when they are talking to their insurance companies, they could maybe reference this?
Absolutely, Commissioner. And Kelly and Lisa Foster and her team work with all of our communities to be able to share that information, put that out to residents through all the various newsletters.
And I can tell you this, as a resident, I got my little postcard in the mail this past week to tell me to look at my new evacuation zone, which I did appreciate.
Yeah.
So that was very helpful. Good job, folks.
And then just a compliment, I had a chance to sit down with Kim Burke and some of his team members, and they gave me an overview of the clerk's office, all of their responsibilities, who to contact for what, and they didn't rush. It was, we had a couple of hours set aside, maybe half a day. And so I just want to say thank you for the efficiency and the professionalism of even when I walked into the office, and then for you all taking the time out to answer all of my questions and to provide me with all of the information related to your department and everything that it oversees. So thank you.
Well, it was a reciprocal arrangement, because right after that, Commissioner Flowers invited me to take a tour of her district. And we spent a half a day going through various areas of her district, and that was a lot of fun. And then we ended it with a nice lunch, which we enjoyed. So
And
thank
he
you,
went
Commissioner
shopping,
Flowers.
y'all.
And we went.
He went shopping. Yeah, we bought some stuff from one of the businesses, small minority businesses that we visited. He bought some stuff from them to support them. So thank you.
That was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Long.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And to Commissioner Flowers' comments, I clearly remember the day you took me around, Ken, and what I was incredibly impressed with the number of people that you have that work for the clerk, that you knew every one of them by their name and everything about their families. And I thought that was pretty awesome. So thank you for all of the very hard work that you do and have done for a very long time. My question to you, though, is I'm sure you're aware of the two-day Resiliency and Sustainability Summit that the Regional Planning Council just sponsored a month ago, or a little over a month ago. And I'm curious about, in the calculations with your Accounting and Government Association that you referred to, if they have taken into consideration and updated their projections based on the new data that we're receiving from NOAA and other scientific communities about the rising threat of the sea, and what it would take given that we were hit with a massive storm. Because the Regional Planning Council I just came from there yesterday, and they have this video that is Hurricane Phoenix. I don't know if you've seen it, but it mirrors the environment we would be living in if we did have a catastrophic storm, such as Hurricane Michael that hit Pensacola. And to me, that just brings home very clearly how important our reserve funds are, because as I don't remember if it was you or you, sir, that made the comment that in those kind of catastrophes, we pay everything up front.
You're
We
right.
surely learned that after Irma, just trying to get things cleaned up. And that was not even a major storm. So are they reviewing those calculations? Do you know?
Yes, the answer is they're in the process.
Okay.
But they have not come out with new standards based on what you mentioned, Commissioner Long. And you're right, because I could tell you when the hurricane that hit the Panhandle so badly several years ago, some of those counties, even the larger county like Bay County, ran into a real cash crunch.
Yes.
You would think a county as large as
Right.
over 100 and something, 200,000 people with good reserves would have been fine, but there was a cash flow problem, which we've studied as finance officers to see we don't make the same mistake. So you're right, because with FEMA, it's all reimbursement. It is not a pay-as-you-go type of thing, and it's a several-year lag in reimbursement. We've had a lot of FEMA work actually this past year, too, because of allocations of funds and with the federal funds coming in and what can be used and whether they should be FEMA funds or CARES funds or ARPA funds. And that was a further complication this past year. But no, in answer to your basic question, no. The answer, they have not updated those things. But they have talked about it in GFOA, and I'm on one of those committees. I know Kevin, the assistant administrator, is on one of those committees that do these best practices. We review them on an ongoing basis. And that's one of the ones that they're talking about reviewing for the reason that you mentioned.
So if I may?
Yes, ma'am.
So as a little follow-up, do you think maybe between now and when you come present to us on your budget for next year, since we're getting heavily into the budget process, you could come prepared a little bit to give us a recommendation on how much more we should be putting into our reserve fund? I think that would be important to hear from folks like yourself.
Let Barry and I collaborate on that, because I think that needs to be a joint effort with the
of
budget
course.
folks and the finance folks, and we will get any resources that we have from a national level on that.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Further questions? Thank you very much. We appreciate your time this
Thank
morning.
you.
Always good to see you, sir.
You too. Thank you.
All right, we are moving to the public hearings item on our agenda. We'll open that. Item number 4. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Agenda item number 4 is case number CW 22-05. This is a proposal by Pinellas County to amend a county-wide plan map from residential low medium to residential medium regarding 0.71 acre more or less, located at 5173 28th Street North and 2786 and 2782 52nd Avenue North. The public hearing was properly advertised, and an affidavit of publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received. The matter is properly before the authority to be heard.
Thank you very much. I have no cards for this item. Is there anyone wishing to testify on this item? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Wishes of the board.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Gerard, a second from Commissioner Long. The clerk will open the machine. Commissioners will proceed to vote. There it is. It passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 5.
Agenda item number 5 is case number CW 22-06. This is a proposal by Pinellas County to amend the countywide plan map from residential low-medium and scenic non-commercial corridor to office and scenic non-commercial corridor regarding 2.25 acres more or less, located at 1961 East Lake Road. The public hearing was properly advertised, and an affidavit of publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received. The matter is properly before the authority to be heard.
I have no cards on this item. Is there anyone here wishing to testify? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Wishes of the board.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Eggers, a second from Commissioner Long. The clerk will open the board. Commissioners will proceed to vote. And it passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 6.
Yes, agenda item number 6 is case number CW 22-07. This is a proposal by Pinellas County to amend a countywide plan map from residential low-medium to retail and services regarding .33 acre more or less, located at 90 20th Terrace Southwest. The public hearing was properly advertised. An affidavit of publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received. The matter is properly before the authority to be heard.
I have no cards on this item. Is there anyone here wishing to testify? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Wishes of the board.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Gerard, second from Commissioner Long. The clerk will open the board. Commissioners will proceed to vote.
Excuse me.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 7.
Thank you. Agenda item number 7 is case number CW 22-08. This is a proposal by Pinellas County to amend the countywide plan map from recreation, open space, and residential rural to residential rural and recreation open space regarding 2.86 acres more or less, located at 2669 St. Andrews Boulevard. The public hearing was properly advertised, and an affidavit of publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received. The matter is properly before the authority to be heard.
Thank you. I do have 2 cards on this from the applicant, representing the applicant Cindy Terrapani, Katie Cole. All right. Anyone else wishing to testify? If not, we'll close the public hearing.
Move approval.
We have a motion from
Second.
Commissioner Gerard, a second from Commissioner Eggers. The clerk will open the board. Commissioners will proceed to vote. Passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, next is agenda number 8, citizens to be heard. First up is David Ballard Geddes Jr. If you'll come forward, you'll have 3 minutes to address the board. Good morning, David.
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. Thank you, sir. David Ballard Geddes Jr. I live on Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. Over the past few years, the mangroves on the north end of Honeymoon Island have been systematically dying. I suspect an herbicide is being strategically applied to kill the mangroves. As a result of killing the mangroves, the beach has slowly and systematically eroded. I've lived nearby Honeymoon Island all of my life, and I am fully aware that the sand on the beach naturally shifts along the coastline, but the recent erosion that is occurring on North Honeymoon is man-made. The beach erosion on the north end of Honeymoon Island is a direct result of the systematic killing of vegetation along the shoreline in a deliberate act of eco-terrorism and in order to manipulate coastal erosion, thereby formulating the appearance of so-called climate change. In addition, I've also noticed the multifarious use of helicopter spraying insecticides over the microhabitats of both Honeymoon and Caladesi Island, applying aerial insecticides, killing all insects and destroying the eco-sensitive habitat of what is remaining of our endangered coastal ecology. The deliberate killing and catastrophic devastation of both plant and animal life, as well as the routine seasonal burning of such microsensitive habitats, has also caused the osprey to seek nesting in areas other than their natural habitat. Habitat protection and preservation of the coastal ecology has been egregiously and systematically violated by those entrusted to protect and serve such environment. Here are some photographs of my findings on this issue. I consider this issue to be on notice. Thank you.
Greg Pound.
Greg Pound, Largo, Florida. The shirt says the secret of success is die early, live longer. Look it up in Galatians 2:20. In order to survive Babylon, Sodom, Gomorrah, you're going to have to die to yourself. What I would like to read to you real quick, it has to do with the abortion issue and what's going on in Pinellas County with families, how it's destroying families. America is a nation highly committed by law and by practice, is committed to a form of mass murder. That is really the bottom line through abortion, which makes the Nazi Holocaust look mild in comparison. The white women that run and started Planned Parenthood say that abortion is the means of preventing disease, pregnancy being noted as a disease. Dr. William Cates from the Planned Parenthood Doctors Association wrote a paper that's titled Abortion for Unwanted Pregnancies Being the Second Sexual Transmitted Disease, being pregnancy is seen by Planned Parenthood as a sexual transmitted disease that can be cured by abortion. Planned Parenthood has abortion clinics all over the country while millions of babies are dying. I'd like to bring up the issue too about the corruption in this county. Listen, if you know, when you took thou shalt not lie out of the courthouse and the schoolhouse, now we have a system built on lies from our government to say that the integrity of our finances is safe in Pinellas County. Now, you get people like Brian Pitts in here. Get Mr. Pitts in here and ask him to do a little auditing on your second roll of books that you've got and all the stuff you guys are doing. We got an illegal sheriff. We've got these deputies on the way I understand, that girl got ran over the beach because the deputy was having sex with another woman in his car. Now, when I'm down there with my sign down at the pier and I get attacked by those young people and I'm addressing others in other counties, it would be illegal for the way the women are dressing down there. Do you know what defrauding is? Have you ever looked up the word to see how you're raping the minds of the men by having these people dressed down there with no clothes on? I mean, it's like a nudist camp. People don't come to see that when they bring their families down there. And when I'm down there preaching and I get attacked by a group of young people, the police get them and they want to charge me for standing out there with a sign that sex is not love and preaching the gospel. And everybody received it. Most of the people down here on vacation are Christians. I mean, they don't do drugs. They got the money to afford to come down and come on vacation to Florida. But when the police officers want to charge me, it's because they're running their sex, just like you're running your drugs, your fentanyl stuff, your drugs. All this stuff is run by the county. This is how you make your money. You're baiting people. You're setting up your sting rings, and you're baiting people. And you're bringing the whole county under judgment. I mean, we got illegal people in our county. Your sheriff is an illegal sheriff. If he lies, why can't, as goes the leader, so goes those underneath them. The whole county. I get arrested by liars. You guys are running a scam on the people.
Next up is Mac Johnson.
I'd just like to say good morning and thanks for the opportunity again to just share some things with us pertaining to life and true life. Because in the book of Deuteronomy, it talks about, God says, I have set before us life and death, therefore choose life. And so there it is. Life is here for everybody to choose life if you want life. Now, I was just thinking, it's like what if we had a world where God would just simply remove all of our sin, wrongdoings, and therefore took all the humans and placed them in another world where there is no sin, there is no wrong. What it would really amount to is human beings are now like robots, and God never intended that. So God set before us today life, which means we were born not having life. People were born, according to the Bible, dead in trespass of sin. And he have come and set before us life, which is only in Jesus Christ. I mean, we try to find it all other kind of ways, but it's not there. God said, I set before you life and death. Therefore, choose life. And there it is for each one of us. And I want to say that because in choosing life, what that means is you choose real love. Love is something that, robots do not have that. That's something God has placed in us. I mean, we can actually choose life, and what that means is that give us love, and now we're able to deal with every setting in the mind of love. I choose to love each one of you, and I do. And I choose that love because God has loved me, and he placed that love in me, and he wants that love to be in each one of us. And that's what's going to help our county out like nothing else in the whole world. We all choose life, and what that means is we choose to do what's right. Life is who God is. We receive Christ, that's life. Now let's love each other. Let's make this the best county in the whole wide world. Amen?
Amen.
God bless you.
Thank you.
All right, next is our consent agenda, items 9 through 17. Does anyone have one to be pulled? If not, is there a motion?
No consent, Mr. Chair.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Long, a second from Commissioner Flowers. On the consent agenda, at the clerk's request, we will do a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. To the regular agenda, and I did have Mr. Miller on citizens to be heard, but I assume that you want to be heard on item 25, so we'll call on you at that point. Regular agenda, item number 18. Mr. Administrator, good morning.
Good morning. Item 18 is declaring 15 county-owned properties as surplus and granting authorization to advertise and dispose of the parcels.
Questions, discussion, or motion?
Move approval, Mr.
Second.
Chair.
We have a motion from Commissioner Long, a second from Commissioner Flowers. Question from Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, Barry, it seemed like in the presentation there was a comment about out of the 1,200, there's 1,090 have been retained for use. Does that mean that the staff has gone through it, that process, and they're the ones that are deeming those properties still to be used?
Correct. There was
coming to us at all to be kind of look at to see.
You want to go through?
Well, no, I didn't say I want to go. I would like some categories of what kinds of properties we have out there, and what are some of those criteria you guys are using to?
Certainly. So there's 1,200 parcels, and that can be everything from a storm, pond to a county building to rights of way and things like that. So we could certainly provide a list of those, but it's a staff team that come together with Colliers to be able to comb through those and look to see if there was any. And so not until it goes through that process does it come to you for disposal. And then after the disposal, we're going to look at that, work with Habitat, work with adjacent property owners, and determine the best way in which to dispose of the property.
Yeah, so you kind of got some categories here, maybe a little bit more breakdown, not individually, but just by category would be nice. And I'm not talking about today. I'm just talking about at some point, to get a better understanding, so.
Okay, I saw staff getting ready to come up, but why don't we just provide that to you so you have a better understanding of the process.
And the 15 today, they've gone through that process and evaluation and.
Come up, Dan.
Just so we, because I did get a press question on it yesterday, so if we have a little explanation, I think that would be helpful.
I'll let the people that are actually doing it answer that question.
Very good. Good morning.
Good morning. Diana Sweeney, Deputy Director of Administrative Services. Today's presentation, it will address our wanting to declare these 15 parcels as surplus and authorize for advertisement for either sale or disposition to our partners in economic development and affordable housing. I can answer any questions.
About the process that
Okay.
you've gone through. That's
Okay.
what the question was.
Yes, we worked with Colliers to identify the surplus properties. We consulted our colleagues in Public Works and Utilities and Parks to determine their need. Many of them are still retained for airports, parks, future permitted facilities, and other future infrastructure.
So 110
Yes.
were kept as potential surplus.
Correct.
Or not kept, but have been identified as for addition. And we're bringing 15 of those today.
Yes.
And others will continue to be brought
Yes.
forward. Yeah, and so my question was really about that as well, and we're going to talk about those, but those others, in some breakdown as to kind of the thought process that you all went through, whether it's internal or external. So that will be helpful.
Okay.
So I look forward to that.
Okay. I can
Yes.
address that for you.
Right behind you. Somebody's.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Diana. Hi, Kevin Knutson, Assistant County Administrator. I've been working with Diana and her team on this. What we're doing is we're actually meeting with the departments and going through every parcel and looking at it. Just because we've only identified 110 so far doesn't mean we're finished with the process. There's still a lot of work to be done through that. But what we're trying to do is move them forward as quickly as possible so that we get them to you and get them back out onto the market.
I think it's a great idea, so look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. The clerk will open the board. Commissioners will proceed to vote. Passes unanimously. Item 19.
Some of a bid to Clute Contracting for St. Petersburg Clearwater International Airport cell phone lot restroom rehabilitation, $409,000.
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Long, second by Commissioner Gerard. Clerk will open the board. Commissioners will proceed to vote. Passes unanimously. Item number 20.
This is Affordable Housing Loan Program to Homes for Independence. This is for multifamily rental housing project known as Homes for Independence 6. This will recommend the loan is $386,000 utilizing state housing initiative partnership funds for the renovations.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Long, second from Commissioner Flowers. And I did want to note, we do have Commissioner Seal on Zoom. Now I see her on my screen. Commissioner Seal, did you want to participate and vote?
I do, but I'm now changing computers so that I can get onto Granicus on my county computer so I can vote manually. Okay, sorry.
All right. Further questions on item number 20? We have a motion from Long, second from Flowers. The clerk will open the board. Commissioners will proceed to vote.
Sorry, yes.
Seal is a yes. Passes unanimously. Item 21.
The Affordable Housing Program Project Funding Agreement for Fairfield Avenues Apartments. This will provide 264 multifamily affordable units, 53 being set aside for households at less than 50% area median income, 67 at households below 80%, and the remaining 144 at below 120% of AMI. The funding breakdown from the different loans are within your packet. And this project is located in St. Petersburg.
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Long, second from Commissioner Flowers. Commissioner Flowers.
Thank you. I just want to really shine a light on this project because it's something that shows a wonderful partnership between the county and cities. And I'm sure we've done this. I know we've done this with Pinellas Park and the city of Largo and some other cities. This is the old Cox Lumber. Some know it as Tibbetts Lumber property, not very far from my home. It's a huge tract of property, not very far from Gibbs High School, entryway to the interstate, easy access to Central Avenue for shopping, whether it's groceries, post office, or what have you, close to the bus transit component piece. So this project just really sits in the middle of everything that we've been talking about when we talk about walkable communities, excuse me, and providing a substantial number of units within the community. So I just wanted to highlight that this is just one of several, but one of those really, really good projects that we are looking for that will help us get to where it is that we hope to be. And anyone who wants to look at the income levels for the SHIP and the income limits that we have on our backup, it shares exactly what the income limits are for persons, one person, two person, all the way up to an 8-person family. So just wanted to highlight it. It also has the amounts for rent. So just a really good project, really good project.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, very, normally we provide dollars for the land itself, and in this case, it's some on the construction. I'm assuming that's continuing to be a part of the buy-down to get more of the units,
It
either
is.
affordable or the workforce. So it's just, yeah.
I'll let Bruce speak specifically to your question.
Good morning, I'm Bruce Bussey, Community Development Manager. You're right, Commissioner Eggers, the land value is right around the $5.6 million, so that is what the amount's based on. However, we're going to provide some of that, $3 million at the closing, and then 2.6 for construction costs as additional milestones are reached. So we're still meeting that goal of acquiring the land for the land trust for permanent affordable housing, but we're mitigating a little bit of the risk by not putting all the dollars up front.
Okay. And I see there's over half probably in that workforce housing category, if you call it. I don't know all the definitions. I mean, affordable is deemed about 80% and under AMI, but there's a lot in the workforce category. And
Correct, 144 units in the other 120. And so it's really got kind of a nice mix of different income levels throughout the project.
Thank you.
Further questions? Commissioner Flowers, those on the west side, we grew up going to Anderson Lumber, which is just up, what was the rail line, now the trail, a little further west just from Tibbetts, so.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion and a second. The clerk will open the board. Commissioners will proceed to vote. Commissioner Seal?
Hi, sorry, the voting thing's not showing up. I've got 2 computers open.
Are you a yes?
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Item 22.
Item 22 is a budget amendment. It's 2 budget amendments from reserves to contingencies in the general fund. For the 2 specific ones are what we discussed last year during the budget process, but we kept that in reserves till we got the final amount, which was the purchase of a replacement helicopter for the sheriff for $6.1 million, and then adding $1.1 million into the risk fund to pay for insurance premiums associated with higher protected properties in the utilities department, along with a policy change at the sheriff to cover the doctors when he switched to contracted doctors versus having in-house.
Questions, discussion, or motion?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Flowers, second from Commissioner Long. The clerk will open the board. Commissioners will proceed to vote.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Commissioner Seals a yes. It passes unanimously. Item 23.
This is a request to schedule a public hearing to appeal a denial of a county dock permit at 618 Sunset Drive in St. Petersburg. The owner applied for a private permit to construct a new single-family dock. The proposed location would be through a large mature mangrove. Staff proposed an alternative location at the southern edge of the property, but the owner declined to modify the application under the current process that is appealable to the Board of Commissioners. And so this is only a request from the property owner for you to agree to schedule a public hearing.
Okay.
I would move to approve to let him come to us and appeal this.
Second.
Second. Oh, sorry.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Peters, second from Commissioner Eggers to approve the property owner's request for a public hearing to appeal the denial. Further discussion? The clerk will open the board. Commissioners will proceed to vote.
No.
Commissioner Seal is a no. It passes 5-2. All right, staff will be in touch to schedule that public hearing. Item 24, County Attorney.
Yes, under item number 24, I mentioned at your agenda review last week, I do wish for the County Commission to take action on a conflict waiver request from one of our outside counsel. Just by way of background, you all are aware that you authorized the county attorney to move forward and file suit in regard to Senate Bill 524. Subsequent to the board taking that action, my office, who routinely provides legal services to the Pinellas County Supervisor of Elections, was contacted by the supervisor with at least a minor concern that she could be drawn into the litigation or somehow other obtain a role in that litigation. As you all are aware, you did not approve the county attorney's office to file suit against the supervisor. We have not, nor do we intend to file suit against the supervisor of elections here, although it is at least possible that she could be drawn into that litigation by another party to the litigation, or in the alternative, at least need some legal advice given some of the rulings. As a result of that and the county attorney's office representation of the county in this matter, I do believe it's appropriate, following our own procedures that the county attorney's office has that was adopted by this board many years ago, in regard to multiple representation of clients that we do represent pursuant to the terms of the county charter. We have followed that policy as far as looking at the potential conflict we could have and made notifications under that policy. This request from Bryant Miller Olive, which is your bond counsel, is also pursuant to that policy and the rules regulating the Florida bar. I do find in this instance that it is something I would recommend the board approve. As I said, Bryant Miller Olive is your bond counsel. This would be, this matter for your supervisor would be handled by attorneys that do not regularly do any work really for the county. The local government section of the office is very distinct from those that do bond work. So given all those facts, I do recommend that you approve that conflict waiver, and by doing so, authorize me to sign the waiver and return it to counsel at Bryant Miller Olive.
I would like to recommend, Mr. Chair, that we approve our county attorney's recommendation to waive, to have Bryant Miller Olive represent the supervisor of elections, given that that is what transpires going down the road.
Commissioner Long moves approval of the county attorney's recommendation.
Second.
Commissioner Gerard seconds. Further discussion? Clerk will open the board. Commissioners will proceed to vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Seal is a yes. It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Anything else, County Attorney?
No.
Thank you very much. Item 25, County Administrator.
Well, Commissioners, as you know, we're deep into budget and preparing for our budget hearings, which will come up here. We have 6 days scheduled in June to go through budget information sessions with all of the various entities and appointed authorities and constitutional officers. So more to come on that, but in answer to your question, Commissioner Long, we will discuss our reserve levels and all of our financial position with everything that's changed this past year as part of that process.
Thank you.
The other thing is we're back into times where we can get out and meet with folks. I'll be on a panel with the Dunedin Chamber with Commissioner Eggers tomorrow. I'm on a panel with Leadership St. Pete coming up here in the next week, and on Habitat Affordable Housing panel. So I'm glad to kind of be back out talking about some of the things and how our programs impact others, and kind of getting the word out more so. So I'm happy to have those invitations. Finally, as we discussed last Thursday, I would request authority to provide written notice no later than June 1st to Hillsborough County and the other participating government entities, specifically cities of Tampa and St. Petersburg, terminating the St. Pete or the Tampa St. Pete ferry, Cross Bay Ferry interlocal agreement pursuant to Section 7 of that agreement. As I stated last week, This is in no way, and we got a lot of emails, obviously, about people that support the ferry. We support the ferry too. That's not the question. The question is the terms and the transparency of the information provided within the agreement. We were not party to that agreement, and we would like to be party to that agreement. We've requested additional information. We think that there's a positive, that it's operated and positive. They say it's not. Well, the fact that I don't have that information doesn't make it a very good agreement. We would like to reopen that, discuss with our partners. We have plenty of time to do that, but we can only terminate if we notify by June the 1st. We don't have to have a new agreement in place until August to be able to start the service up as it's projected within the agreement. So there's plenty of time to do that. So my request is to give that authority to me and let me begin that process, and I will keep you informed throughout this time period.
Commissioner Gerard.
Well, I just have a concern. We did receive over 200 emails about this, which is probably a record of some sort, and they were all individual, not computer generated. And there was some question about the notice of us voting on it. And I think there's a point there, because there's the understanding in the public, obviously, is that we're voting to get out of the contract, which is technically we are. And so I think, not having some sort of public hearing about it before we say we're going to terminate the contract, which I understand that we want to go after that and redo the contract, but we are technically terminating the contract, and that's what people hear. So maybe it's just me, but.
Commissioner Long.
Yes, thank you for recognizing me, Mr. Chair. But I am concerned about the misinterpretation of what we actually are doing, number one, and number two. I've been on the receiving end of all those emails, Commissioner Gerard. Some of them were directed at me personally and became quite inflammatory, actually, because I did not say, I'd like to correct the record to reflect, I did not say that I would not support the ferry, period. My comments were intended to say I will not support the ferry if we are not able to open up the contract. I didn't think we were voting to end it. I thought we wanted to amend it so that we could have a seat at the table to discuss some of the very same things that we were talking about last year at, oh, by the way, the 11th hour. We had no time to share with anybody what our concerns were or what our wishes were going forward. And I remember clearly the gentleman from HMS Ferries speaking at the podium talking about their company was the leader in the world in building these kind of ferries. And every time I've met with them or their representatives, I have talked about the desire to really be thoughtful and forward-thinking about how we amend this contract to include some of the newer technologies that are very quickly becoming realities in terms of how these ferries are powered. It is ridiculous in 2022 to think about using antiquated technology to move the ferries through the water. There are other places in the world that are using the newer technologies that are moving towards electric or hydrogen-powered engines, and I think we should be doing that too. And that's not the only issue, and I don't want to take words out of Barry's mouth, but we're trying to, I keep hearing the word, this is a partnership. But it's not a partnership if we're not at the table to have a discussion. What happened to the idea of making this a really tool in our toolbox of all the different mobility things we're trying to address in terms of regional transportation for our citizens. You know, we're not the only place in the world that uses the waterways to provide public transportation options to get people off the roads. I mean, what happened to that goal or that aspirational dream? So that's my issue. I clearly think it would be irresponsible of us to just sign this thing for 4 more years or 3 more years or however long if there isn't some kind of a strategic plan that talks about where do we want to be 5 or 10 years from now. This isn't a decision we're making just for today in the moment. Don't we want our kids and our grandkids to have better as we move into the future? So that's my point. I did not say I wouldn't support the ferry. I love the ferry. But I want to have a seat at the table when we negotiate how we move forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Peters.
Well, most of my thoughts were very eloquently stated by Commissioner Long. But when we agreed to do this with very little notice last year, it was at the 12th hour, all that was sudden at the end. And this is not transportation, this is entertainment. And I still have a problem that we are subsidizing. We're taking taxpayer money from people who right now are having a hard time paying rent and buying groceries because of the supply chain issues. And we're giving it to people who are going to hockey games, who are paying a lot of money for hockey tickets. And if they were going to drive to the stadium, they would be paying $20 or $25 to park, plus the cost of gas to go. And the fact that we're subsidizing entertainment, I have a problem with that. Now, if we're subsidizing transportation, that's different. But we're not. We're subsidizing entertainment. And I'm sure that every single one of those people that use that ferry to go to the hockey game or to come over to St. Petersburg to have dinner would not have a problem paying a higher price for that ticket. And they're planning on raising the ticket price anyways. So we said that we were going to come back before the deadline that would lock us in so that we could talk about that contract, exactly what you said. And so we're just doing what we said we were going to do by opening this up and evaluating this and determining if the plan is transit. That's a whole different conversation, but this is not transit. This is not taking people to work or back. This is not taking cars off the road during the heaviest time of traffic, because this is weekends and evenings. And so this is a whole different conversation and animal than it is transit. And I personally have a problem with the way they've been doing business. They have not been good stewards and good partners with Pinellas County. And so I think we should open this up. I think we should be looking at it. I think we should be renegotiating it. I'm not saying the ferry should go away. I think it's a great business. It seems to be a very profitable business for this company. And so far, I just don't believe that the taxpayers who are struggling now should be subsidizing wealthy people's entertainment, their transportation, and that's part of their entertainment experience. So they want to talk transit and how they're going to do transit. That's a different conversation. If they were better stewards and better partners to the county, it would be a whole different conversation. And so personally, I think we should be moving forward on this, on opening up this contract and reevaluating what we should be doing and having them come back to the table and really be a partner with us versus how they've been behaving on the last several years.
Thank you. Commissioner Flowers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I understood it to be that we would have to cancel or vote to cancel the contract in order to be able to renegotiate anything going forward. So that is why I supported it. I read quite a few of the emails and started responding saying this does not say that we don't want it. This says that we want to be fiscally responsible for our role as it relates to the ferry. And so, sometimes when you say things, people either hear what they want to hear, or when someone is sharing the information with them, they're going to share it the way that they would like to share it. And so I think that maybe it has not been shared in the proper context. There were some slides that we saw in our workshop that addressed an increase in the price of the ferry. Maybe they need to look at going a little higher, whatever. That's for them to decide. That is not for us to decide. But what I do know is that I I would love to see us work out some type of way to continue to be a partner as they progress and become self-sufficient. And then when they are moving in that direction and they're there, we can release that coil and maybe go on to invest in another project that someone may bring forward. That'll be wonderful for the community where we could do the same. But I don't think that I would like to continue based on the conversation that we had. I wasn't here, for the ones prior to that, but I know the conversations that we had last year related to the ferry. The other thing, I'm not sure if there would be time for this. I'm not sure if there's an appetite for this. But it will be wonderful if all of the entities involved in this could come together and have that conversation in person. And that way, it is not the representatives of one group coming to us saying one thing, going to St. Pete saying something, going to Tampa, but that all of the players are dynamically in the room. We are hearing and seeing the same thing, and persons understand exactly what our position is as the county and what our expectation is, which is to be escorted to the dance, not asked to come to the dance after the dance has started. So I'm going to support giving Barry the authority to go ahead, dismiss this contract, begin those conversations and dialogue based on data that we get for ridership and finances. The only thing that I am amenable to leaving alone will be the concessions, because I believe that's what goes directly to the operation folks, and that was the concession. Was that correct?
That's correct. The operator, or the owner gets the concessions, and that's part of the question is, they
How
say,
much is that?
How much is that? Let's put it all on the table.
Yeah. So, depending on what that is, I would be amenable to, kind of look, because, people are in business because they want to make money. They're not
Absolutely.
in business because they just want to nonprofit. Some of us are in business because we have a heart for the service. So I shouldn't say that. But that's what I think. I think that, again, and I don't know how my colleagues feel, but I think if all of the players are in the room, just like we have our legislative conversation dialogue and everybody's in the room, everybody hears the same thing, and it's just not that one person coming to, or a few people coming to our meeting and presenting, because we really don't know what's being said in those other meetings. We hear, I know I've heard, but then when I've tried to follow up, it's like, no, that's not what I said. So I would love to entertain that. That's separate from this motion, but I will support moving forward on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, I would, a lot of the comments that have been made up here, I share. I think we should definitely open it back up. I definitely don't think we should be using tax dollars to support this business. They certainly are on their own 2 feet and moving forward. We do have other projects that are on the horizon right now that we'll be taking our kind of collective vision or collective wisdoms to see how we want to use the St. Pete side, the intercoastal element as well. So all of that is in play, in my opinion, and I think we do need to have those community conversations with the partners that you talked about in St. Petersburg and that side, but also our intercoastal communities that want to be a part of waterborne transportation, and they may need a leg up for a couple of years. And so I think all of that is important, and so I would definitely support opening it back up and just keeping all of those variables on the table. So thank you.
Commissioner Gerard.
Well, I just wanted to say I wasn't suggesting that we just sign the agreement, but I was concerned about what people believe about what we're doing. So I wanted to ask what message are we sending out? I assume your office is responding to all of these things.
Well, we can get into a greater conversation about how we respond to emails, but typically it's we have received your comments, and until the board makes a decision, we don't have a position because we haven't
Well, maybe it can be a bit more.
But certainly we can
we're
write something
terminating the
more
contract because
explanatory.
we want to be able to,
renegotiate the
Sure.
terms and conditions.
yeah, not that.
And
we-
not that
we have
service is
not
going to stop,
decided
because I
to
think that's
stop
what people believe, service will stop, and that's not accurate.
Well, like you say, where they get the
Without
information
a promise
is.
that we're going to continue, but
Yeah.
saying that it's not over.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Over,
Commissioner-
so that lady sings, I'm not done. Also, I would support a staff meeting with staff from Tampa, Hillsborough County, and St. Petersburg
just to have a powwow, if they would agree to get together. I think that's a good point that, you know, if we're gonna negotiate the contract, obviously they're gonna be renegotiating the contract as well. And maybe you can even come to terms about something before we present it.
And I did reach out prior to taking this action and bringing this to you. We have spoken to each of the other partners. And so we actually have a letter that's drafted that'll go out today, pending your action, that will offer to meet and discuss the terms of this agreement.
Okay, cool.
Commissioner Seal has her hand raised. Commissioner Seal.
Thank you. I concur with everything that's been said, particularly what Commissioner Flowers stated, and believe that bringing all four partners together and having a robust discussion would be relevant. On top of it, the other piece was we had last year requested that we might be able to get something for our dollars, including wrapping the bus or some kind of tourism promotion. And I just want to make sure that's all in the mix because, you know, usually you get something in exchange for sponsorship.
There was really
Thank you
no
very
movement,
much.
Commissioner Seal. There was really no movement on that.
I know.
And they're on the line. They're going to speak under public comment, but they basically put it back on the partners that if we wanted to increase, you know, the advertising, that would be a different path. So they may have a different comment or take on that, but I will tell you I was part of those, and that's certainly the way it was presented to us. But you know, on that side, like I said last Thursday. CVB is prepared to move forward on something like that. We would love to do that. We'd love to see our partners on the other side of the bay do that also. So we would like to be able to talk about all these issues and come up with a model that works for everyone.
All right, we'll go to public comment on our county administrator report, which is unusual. But Mr. Miller, Matt Miller, if you'll raise your hand in the Zoom application, we'll unmute you. You'll have 3 minutes to address the board.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, good morning.
Morning.
A couple things. I'd like to start off. I think it fits to the statement that we have not been good partners. That accusation is without any basis or fact. We have shared all the information you mentioned with Hillsborough County. I'm not quite sure why Pinellas County has not asked for that information from them. My observation, this appears to be an 11th hour, no public notice decision, which is exactly what you complained about at the beginning of the season from last year. Just an observation. As you may know, I've informed the commission late last week that the workshop report on the Cross Bay Ferry they received last week was produced on and based on erroneous and incomplete information. It's improper for Pinellas County staff to base any profit projection based on the generalized project pro forma that is well over a year and a half old, or on the monthly ridership information we provided the local governments, which is what it appears Pinellas County staff did. The pro forma in the operating agreement is not designed in any way, shape, or fashion to generate a profit loss projection. That's a fact. We had no notice or knowledge that Pinellas County staff is trying to estimate project profitability this year based or on the future based on a pro forma. The ferry is part of a public mass transit system, and until the permanent service is built, there will be a need for a small public subsidy. That's a fact. That should not surprise anybody. HMS will be presenting appropriate financial information this week to Hillsborough County, the contracting government, and it can share this information with all participating local governments as it wishes. I would think that all you have to do is ask them and they will provide it. The report to Hillsborough County will include the revenue sharing distribution, which is based upon project revenue and not project profitability. The facts as we know them today. HMS will have to absorb a significant operating loss this year due to historic increases in fuel. Fuel this year, compared to last year, is almost 3 times higher. That's a fact. Labor costs, significantly higher. That's a fact. Insurance costs, significantly higher. That's a fact. You cannot make profit conclusions based on a pro forma that is old. And at no time did any of the Pinellas County staff ask for us to provide profit loss and to discuss these things. They never did. The ferry has broad public support and is viewed as a great value to the community. I think that's a fact based on the information you just said. You received hundreds of personalized responses to this. The ferry continues to make positive impact on reducing the congestion on the roadways. That's a fact. The ferry continues to have positive impact on small businesses in Pinellas County. That's a fact. We have investigated wrapping and sponsorships. We have. And to indicate that we have not and that we punted that to next year is not factually correct. The ferry service as a foundation for the Tampa Bay community, receiving a $5 million FTA grant for a 350 passenger ferry for permanent service. If the current service is abandoned, it will likely impact the proper execution of that grant. That is a fact.
Mr. Miller, I'm going to ask you to wrap up.
Despite its losses, HMS will continue to stand by the operating agreement as is, which is what good partners do and how 3P projects protect the public interest. If the county wants to open up the agreement, so be it. That'll help us recoup our losses.
So now they're going to threaten us.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Next up is Mr. Ed Taranchik. Ed, if you'll raise your hand in the Zoom.
If you open it up, I'm going to increase the cost. They're threatening us.
You'll have 3 minutes, Ed.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I just signed in case there were any questions. I think Mr. Miller presented the position of HMS. Just legally, you should know that when you withdraw from the interlocal agreement, the terms of the operating agreement automatically expire. So absent the government's figuring out how to do this, there won't be ferry service next year. And because there's no basis to proceed. So there is a risk here that people will come together. And a risk is not just with respect to next year's service. We all got together and worked very hard to seek and secure a $5 million grant for a replacement vessel that would in fact allow this service to operate without subsidies. That grant conditions was that we have an existing operating system. So there's a lot of risk here, not just whatever, 150,000 that Pinellas might put into this next year and everyone else. There's a $5 million grant out there, and that is the way forward, so you don't have any additional subsidies. The operative point here is that this year HMS lost considerable revenue under the operating agreement. And as Mr. Miller said, there as a partner, they're willing to take that loss. But if the operating agreement gets reopened, a lot of things will change. And there's a very significant grant out there that Congresswoman Castor and Congressman Bilirakis and Congressman Christ and Congressman Vern Buchanan all got behind and supported. So that's just the perspective. And of course, each government can do its own thing. But the fact is, if you withdraw, we're on a path for nothing to happen unless this is resurrected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taranchik. Commissioner Flowers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So facts are stubborn things. Because when the presentation was made at our workshop, Mr. Taranchik was in the room. The presentation that was made had the information, and it was stated by staff. If I'm wrong, please correct me. These are the figures that we got from them. So if Mr. Miller's assertion is that inadequate or information was provided that was not accurate, then those were their numbers. So they need to fix that. Mr. Taranchik was there. He could have certainly indicated or motioned, because I believe the presenter looked his way several times. That's not my 3 minutes. Looked his way several times and stated, these are their numbers. That's the first fact. It's a fact. The second, it's a fact, is that even today, no one thought it important enough to be here in person.
Amen.
to communicate with us. I appreciate the call in, but other persons came and spoke today and presented themselves because their issue was that important. No one thought it that important to be here today, just like the last time. That's a fact. Number 3. This business is not the only business that had to deal with an increase in gas prices, labor, all of that. There are a number of businesses that had to deal with that. And that's what happens when you're in business. I'm a business owner. I had to deal with COVID. I had to deal with a reduction in employees. And then I had to figure out a way to work it out. But I wasn't depending on someone to make up that shortfall because of things that occurred that I had no ability or no charge to change. I understand that, and so I agree with you all. I understand that your gas prices went up. It took $81 to fill up my gas tank, and I have a 6-cylinder car. So I understand, and I feel gas just like everybody else, and some of the other things. That's a fact. Number 4, to say that all the information has been provided, obviously not, because we keep asking for the same thing over and over and over again. And so even for Mr. Taranchik to make the comment today, the simple fact of the matter is if you all don't sign onto the agreement, it's going to close. No one said that. Again, please open your ears. Let me reiterate. According to the contract, it says that the only way we can renegotiate the terms and conditions is if we say that we are not going to support moving forward with the current contract so that we can reopen negotiations. So when you are sharing that with people, please share it factually and correctly, and do not continue to say what you're saying, which is by next year the fair will go away if we don't do X, Y, Z. We have until what date, Barry?
August. Is that correct, Jill?
August
16th.
In order to determine if we're going to move forward or not. So wait until that date, but please don't say that now, because I think for those individuals up here that may be leaning towards trying to see what we can do to work something out, your consistent saying things, well, for me, your consistent ability to say things that are not necessarily accurate really makes me not happy.
We can tell.
Makes me not happy. The other part is, while you all may have made these presentations and whatnot to the other entities, that has not been made to us. We were invited to the party, even though it was my first year last year. We were invited to the party after articles had already been put out in the paper. We received, I don't know how many emails. The people in the community knew more about what you all were requesting from us than we did. So if you want us to be a partner, my partnership says that we are working together and we're traveling down the same path. Not that you are ahead of me and you are expecting me to just follow you because now you've created an atmosphere and an environment where if I don't follow you, I'm going to have to now explain myself. So when you are presenting, I'm going to say this, y'all need to have somebody here. Not over the phone. You need to have somebody here if it's that important to you. Because if it's not that important to you, then continue doing what you're doing. When people contact me and ask me, I'm going to tell them the truth. And I'm going to present the presentation that was provided. And I'm going to say, Mr. Taranchik was in the room and not once did he say he had an aversion to anything that was presented. And these are their numbers, not mine. So I'm sorry for that. But it just irritates me when people do that. And they know that they're not being forthright. And they do it because they know it will gin up that excitement from people in the community. I'm happy for the ferry. I've never ridden it, but I've heard wonderful things about it. But please don't try to back me into a corner and think that I'm not going to come out with facts. And that's a fact. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Attorney White.
Yeah, and I just wanted to speak to a couple of issues that I've heard raised here that seem to be of a legal nature. There is no issue whatsoever with the board moving forward today to take a vote on sending a termination letter pursuant to the terms of the agreement. That's just simply not what the Sunshine Law dictates. Publicly noticed meeting, accessible to all, that's what you're required to do under the Sunshine Law. I would also note, it seems as though if you've received 200 emails that there's abundant notice out in the community to folks that have an interest. And you did actually have people appear virtually to speak. Just again, to go over some of the, just simple facts from your contract. The only contract that you all have is with the other participating governmental entities. It's Hillsborough County that has the contract with HMS. I know that you all have heard it, but June 1st is the date that you have to give notice to terminate this agreement. That termination, again, you all spoke about terminating it by June 1st when you approved this last year because of many of the issues that many of you, if not all of you, have mentioned here today. Again, what that does, and the agreement itself says, if any one of the governmental entities, be that the 2 counties or the 2 cities, sends notice by June 1st, then either the interlocal terminates or the parties can agree to a modification or a new interlocal agreement. So again, that is pursuant to the terms of the very agreement that you're providing notice under. In my opinion, providing that notice is the only way you have to compel a renegotiation of this agreement. Otherwise, you would likely find yourself in the same position you were last year, already bound by an agreement that binds you to a certain dollar amount for the upcoming year of service. I thought I heard a comment made from one of the speakers that our termination of the agreement with the local government's funding would terminate the agreement with Hillsborough.
That's correct.
If I heard incorrectly, I apologize, but I did take a quick look through that agreement. I asked Mr. Kroll to do the same. That is not what is stated in the agreement between HMS and Hillsborough County. Hillsborough County has until a time, they do have the unilateral ability to terminate that agreement with HMS. But if that was what I heard stated, I have not been able to find, in a very quick look through this contract, and Mr. Cole as well, I have not been able to find anything in the contract between Hillsborough County and HMS Ferries that would terminate that contract if you all here vote to terminate the separate interlocal agreement with the other 3 parties. So let me be clear on that. As has also been mentioned, Hillsborough has until August 15th of any calendar year to provide notice to HMS pursuant to your interlocal agreement if they wish for the ferry service to basically continue. So there is a lot of time built into this, not a lot of time, but I guess compared to last year's process, a lot of time built in to take a look at some of the issues here. I would note that the agreement from last year, the interlocal agreement, is dated September 21st, 2021. So this was a pretty late process last year, so there's no reason why this process could not take a little bit of time this year as well. So I just wanted to put some of those things on the record, happy to answer any other questions. But again, I do believe that giving the notice of termination under your interlocal agreement with the other participating governmental entities, which is of course what obligates you to a payment, that is the only way that you have to compel a renegotiation of the terms of the interlocal.
Thank you. Commissioner Long.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. I have a question as a clarification on the legal entity, because at the time that we entered into this last year, isn't it true that we did not have any opportunity to express our desires or wishes or have anything to do with how the contract was written?
Are you talking about the contract between Hillsborough and HMS Ferries, or really the one between you and
the one between the parties?
My recollection, and I think it's going to be mirrored by many of the folks here, is that it was so late in the process.
Correct.
That there was not a fair opportunity to weigh in on the terms of the interlocal.
And that is shameful to me, considering that our other partners are also governmental entities, and I dare say every one of them would be as cranked up as we are today had they been on the receiving end of what we were. So, just thank you for that clarification. I just wanted to make sure.
Wasn't given.
What?
I was saying, and public notice wasn't given timely to.
Further questions, comments? Yeah, it's like deja vu all over again since the first year of this operation. You know, we get the emails. It's a small amount of money in the scope of things, and that may be true. But when we talked about this amount of money last year, it was at the last minute, and it was with the don't worry. If you don't like it, all you have to do is let us know by June 1st and we can renegotiate it. And then when we try and take advantage of that specific provision that we put in so that we could have this real conversation, there's objection to it. It is obviously set up as a schedule now for entertainment, not for transportation, which, that is how it's evolved from where we started from every day. That was not successful. We moved to a weekend event, and it's been very successful. If the numbers presented to us last week on Thursday workshop were not accurate, there was 4 or 5 days to send us an email with the correct information on the prices and the numbers and those kind of things that they could have shared with that. It should not be. And really, I've had this conversation a while ago with both of our speakers today that we should not be getting our information from Hillsborough or Tampa or St. Pete or somewhere else. It should come from our partners. We expressed a desire to be real, true partners, not only for the fiduciary responsibility that we have for our taxpayers, but guess what? If the 7 of us are real partners, we may have ideas. We may have ways to make it even more successful. That's what we wanted. We wanted to be real partners on this thing because we were excited about it, and we thought maybe we could make it even more successful. I want to keep the ferry. I wanted to see it keep going. I think there's ways that we could get value from our CVB money. It doesn't necessarily have to be wrapped, but there certainly could be opportunities in there. Our staff has expressed an interest in examining every single penny that we could do in sponsorship, but that comes with a sponsorship and an advertisement or something. So I think that the opportunity for our administrator to sit down with Administrator Wise and the mayors and really take a look at the long-term contract, to work with Hillsborough's partner HMS to look at what they're making, what their real needs are. We can come to an agreement that is beneficial for all. Maybe the money is a little different, or maybe the money is different from where it comes from, and the length of contract and all those things. But this is a day long overdue. So with that, those are my comments. Further questions, comments, or a motion?
I just have a.
Move approval.
Second.
Send the letter to notice.
We had a motion.
If I could reread, I worked with Joel to provide this.
Oh,
It's
okay.
requesting authority from me to provide written notice June 1st. That gives me the ability to structure it, et cetera, and stuff.
Okay.
So if you delegate that to me.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Peters, second from Commissioner Gerard. Commissioner Long, did you have something further?
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to give an example of what everybody has been saying here, especially you, Commissioner Justice, in regards to how we might come up with a better, even more palatable idea if we had all the partners at the table, and that is the Clearwater Ferry, which Commissioner Eggers alluded to just a little bit. They started out privately owned and just running along, and then as time went by, more and more, we started having conversations, and now we have the Waterborne Transportation Committee as an offshoot of Forward Pinellas, and we also have a great partnership with PSTA, and why that became so important to the Clearwater Ferry is because PSTA had the ability to pull down federal transportation dollars from all those different pots. And today, to Commissioner Eggers' point, we have a great plan moving forward to include all of the beaches and around over to St. Pete to hook up with the Cross Bay Ferry. And by the way, I know it's a different kind of vessel, but their vessels are going to be brand new, and they are going to be powered by electricity instead of diesel. So and in partnership with our tourist development group as well. So, I'm excited about this opportunity. I think we can craft a really great plan if we just have willing partnerships. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And to that point, I remember last year when they asked us for a letter to support their effort to get their grant for the boat that they're getting at the expense of the group over here moving forward with their effort. And so as partners,
Yes,
we decided to give them a shot first on that, and instead of also competing at the same time, which it may have hurt us both. So we decided to do that first. I think we have the spirit of cooperation here. So
Absolutely.
we're ready to move forward with that in mind.
So we have a motion and a second now, right?
Yes.
We have a motion, we have a second. Further discussion. Clerk will open the board. Commissioners will proceed to vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Seal is a yes. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
And Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I did hear Mr. Burton say that the staff have been meeting regarding this issue. If there is an opportunity for the electeds, I know it's short time, things are happening, June, July, whatever. But if that opportunity is available and if persons are willing, I would love for that to still remain a part of the conversation. I would love to be able to be in the room with the other partners and let's talk about this and the longevity, if that is available to us.
All right.
It may be
Administrator-
difficult, but.
Administrator is taking note.
I would love to get us all together. That's actually been a goal that, for us to work and come up with, and address regional issues. So I'll certainly mention that to the other partners.
Short of that, if there are, I would suggest if there are specific issues, specific things you want to see or specific deal breakers, that you share that with the administrator so that he goes in knowing the will of the board.
We'll do that.
Mr. Administrator, anything else on your 25?
That's all I have.
Item 26, Federal Legislative Program. Mr. Loack.
We're going to have to talk to Joe about where this item goes on the agenda next time. Commissioners, Brian Loack, Intergovernmental Liaison. The program that you have before you today includes 4 items that you are well versed on. These include the National Flood Insurance Program, beach nourishment, transportation infrastructure, as well as offshore oil drilling. In addition to those 4 items, I did want to make you aware that since we have last discussed these, I have been contacted by both Representative Christ and Bill Rakis' offices, and the projects that were submitted to Congressman Christ, the Bay Point Regional Stormwater Facility Project, as well as Anklet Road Stormwater and Drainage Improvements Project to Representative Bill Rakis, were both chosen, selected, and have been submitted to committee for consideration in the federal FY 22 or 23 budget. So if and when Congress passes that budget later this year, if those make it in through committee, those will be included in the next year's budget. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Questions?
Thank you.
Commissioner Long.
I missed number 4 of your, was National Flood, Offshore Drilling, Transportation, and what?
And the last one was offshore oil drilling.
Beach renourishment was the
I
other
said
one.
that. Oh, beach renourishment. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Further questions, discussion, or is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Commissioner Flowers, motion, second by Commissioner Eggers for approval of the 2022 Federal Legislative Program. The clerk will open the board. Commissioners will proceed to vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Seal is a yes.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 27, County Commission new business. Anything for the good of the order? Commissioner Long.
Yes, I just have a couple things. I wanted to let you know, if you didn't know, that remember when we had the Deepwater Horizon, and shortly after that, all over the county, we were doing the hands across the sand thing. So that is coming again on May 21st from 11:30 to 1:30 at the Indian Rocks Beach, Public Beach, which is at 1700 Gulf Boulevard and Indian Rocks Beach. Everybody get that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And secondly, I thought since we had the presentation this morning about May is Mental Health Awareness Month, it might be appropriate to share just a little bit with you about the Mental Health for Heroes Foundation, which started as an offshoot of the John Maroney Legacy Foundation. And we have received an award from the feds for our Mental Health for Heroes. And I'm really excited to share that the program has been an outstanding success and that we have been asked by several Congress people if there was an opportunity to expand it. So I look forward to bringing additional information to you as we move forward. And I'm also excited to say that we have our designation as a 501c3, all formal and nice now, and we're moving forward. So for law enforcement and first responders and their families. So thank you.
Thank
Greatly
you.
needed.
Thank you very much. Anything else?
Just,
Commissioner Eggers?
just in that same vein, I think we all got invitations this week from the John Maroney group for recognition of our first responders, and that event will be on June 4th. I think that's correct, June 4th. So just to keep that in the back of your minds and for support of that effort as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anything else for the good of the order?
No, sir.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.